matter with him?
He's branded.
So?
Zorro, Zorro, Zorro. Can't you get rid of that man?
Fortune turns, round and round it goes, where it stops no one knows. Boy? The wheel of fortune turns, round and round it goes, whoa, ho, ho, and it stops right here. Boy? Girl?
I didn't get my man. He got me first.
Tough guys, huh? I'll handle this case myself.
You need a man around the house, old sourpuss.
man. Bah! Man's a poor, you sweep his floor and cook his meals and dust. And so I stay a spinster gay, and solitude I trust. But still, I refuse to make life easy for a silly male. So this proud head of mine will never wear a wedding veil. That's just like a man. What you need is a wife.
What? Woman is the bane of man's existence.
You walrus, you did that deliberately.
But my dear madam.
Don't lie, it was your fault.
Go on, you hatchet-faced scarecrow.
You sawed-off baboon.
You bag of bones.
You old weasel-faced sour puss. Die, old landing nincompoop.
Stop this racket. No more strife. I'm gonna make you man and wife.
Ah, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Hiya, Toots. My little chickadee, we're gonna wander down the pathway of life together. We shall be like a calm field of asparagus, with little gentle winds blowing us as we go along, you and I.
That was some fight. But Dan Cupid always gets his man.
The wheel of fortune turns, round and round it goes. Where it stops, no one knows.
Boy, 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 oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
most eventful year. Spain's 3-year-old civil war ends, and Generalissimo Franco enters Barcelona. The victorious nationalist army passes in review. Brother no longer fights brother, as once again the sky is clear in war-weary Spain that rises from its sorrow to begin life anew. Aviation reaches new heights. The Atlantic becomes a smaller ocean, only a day's journey from the new world to the old, as the Yankee Clippers inaugurate regular mail and passenger flights between the two hemispheres. With ace transport pilots and every modern safety device, the Clipper wings its way high above the clouds and beyond the reach of angry seas. Passengers enjoy modern comforts as the short hours pass pleasantly. A safe landing from its lofty path above the sea lanes that once were sailed by the Clippers of old. In the Orient, Japan continues its undeclared war against China and creates acute diplomatic tension by barricading the British concession at Tin Sin. For a time, the entry of foodstuffs is prohibited. Sentry control is established. Unrest in the Far East continues as nations and peoples await the inevitable solution. Germany invades Poland and the Free State of Danzig. The efforts and hopes of diplomats for peaceful settlement are transformed into the roar of gunfire. Warsaw is bombed, blasted, and shelled. Poland is in ruin. Great Britain and France declare war on Germany. Huge French guns move to the front, and its army to the great man-made Maginot Line, the nation's first bulwark of defense. Britain safely transports 250,000 officers and men across the English Channel to France's shore. The Allies' greatest weapon to wipe out forever the recurrent fear of aggression lies in their domination of the sea.
The shag certainly is sweeping the country, and I'll be happy to teach it to you. There are hundreds of steps in the shag, but all of them are merely variations of the steps you have just learned. I'm going to show you 4 different styles of shag. First, Ruthie and Johnny. I want you to notice that in all of these intricate steps, the count is always the same. Slow, slow, quick, quick. Slow, slow, quick, quick. Slow, slow, quick, quick. Now that you've seen the shag and learned its fundamentals, do you think you can put the dance on tonight? Yeah. All right, get some of my advanced pupils to help you, and I'll see you at the club tonight. Thank you. Good night.
It was in 1919, 20 years ago, that a young southpaw named George Herman Ruth was taking his turn on the mound for the Boston Red Sox and doing all right. He had a fast breaking curve and plenty of zip, but he had something else. A pair of hands and a flair for knocking the apple out of the ball yard. So the Red Sox lost a pitcher and gained an outfielder, and baseball's immortal king of SWAT is on his way. For by 1920, the Bambino has transferred his allegiance to the New York Yankees. By 1926, the Yankees could well boast that they possessed the mightiest man in baseball. For the Babe that year establishes no less than 10 new World Series records, among them a par-shattering mark of 3 home runs in a single series game. The series, incidentally, being the St. Louis Cardinals-Yankee affair that St. Louis won in 7 games. There was another who shared that series spotlight, none other than Grover Cleveland Alexander, who turns in his greatest single moment here in the Yankee Stadium on October 10th, 1926. Manager Hornsby has called him from the bullpen. A relief pitcher, 7th inning, bases full. The Cards lead 3-2. Old Pete pitches to Lozeri. Well, the rest is history. Alex whips over the 3 strikes that snapped the Yankee rally and virtually clinched the series for the Cards. One of the greatest afternoons in the history of baseball. Certainly one that Old Pete will never forget. Norwegian by birth, Notre Dame by adoption, the figure of Knut Rockne assumes greater stature with each passing year. In football, a master strategist, a dynamo force, yet loved to a point of worship by those whom he taught.
I don't want spring football unless you do. Now, all those in favor of coming out for spring football, those who insist on having football, insist on having Hunk and Shav and Vadish and I take charge of this spring, will all signify by saying aye.
At Ebbetsfield, Brooklyn, against the Army in 1923, 4 horsemen running wild through the Cadet defenses. There's Crowley on a rampage. The Irish win 13-0. Then in 1930, in what has come to be known as the year of Notre Dame's greatest team, Rockne's watchword was always block out your man. O'Connor finds the theory working to perfection as he gallops 80 yards to Notre Dame's 19th consecutive victory. Again against the Army, Jack Elder intercepts an Army touchdown pass on his own 2-yard line, and the camera captures one of its treasured shots as Elder outraces the entire Army team to score the second period touchdown, the only score of the game. Destiny's favored thoroughbred, a war baby, foaled in 1917. And as would naturally attend a fellow born in such troubled times, the racing career of Big Red was a span of 2 crowded years. For it was after his campaign as a 3-year-old that Man o' War was retired to the stud, leaving behind him a glorious record of 20 victories in 21 starts. Today, amid the clover and Kentucky bluegrass of faraway farms, he whiles away the hours, carefree and contented in the twilight of his life. For Man o' War is now an old man, 22 years old. And it began nearly 20 years ago, a broiling summer afternoon at Toledo, July 4th, 1919. Jess Willard, within 4 rounds, a helpless, battered hulk. Dempsey had won the crown. But 7 years later, we find him here at Hendersonville, North Carolina. It's April 1926. 2 months from now, he climbs through the ropes at Philadelphia to have it out with Tunney. Well, from here on, you know the old story. The Manassas Mauler has been idle since the night he flattened Firpo 3 years ago. Too long. Tunney takes him, not once, but twice. And yet, how amazing. Today, 20 years later, Dempsey is still the hero of the crowds, the idol of the kids. For a little lady making her first screen appearance, I'm sure you'll agree that even here we may see signs of the world's brightest star ascending. For this is a January day in Oslo, Norway, back in 1925. Sonia is all of 12 years old, but she's just won the figure skating championship of Scandinavia. The following year, she places second in the world competition at Stockholm, Sweden. But from then on, and for the next decade, her crown glitters with the jewels of 10 world championships and 3 Olympic titles. And so she reigns as the world's queen of the ice until our own 20th Century Fox claims her for the silver screen. And the queen, who back in 1925 here was the little princess, becomes Hollywood's lucky star and one of the world's sports immortals.
In the world's film capital is the studio that stands as a monument to the great genius of Walt Disney, master of a new form of popular art that has captivated millions of moviegoers. With the antics of his entrancing animated cartoon characters, he has built an enterprise that employs 700 skilled and highly specialized artistic workers. Upon the simple theory of animation, a new art has been created. Cartoons are drawn in different poses as on the pages of a book. Riffle the pages and the cartoons go into action. The first step in the making of animated cartoons is a conference of directors, technical experts, and artists who draw the characters first in pencil sketches. This animator studies his own facial contortions in a mirror to produce the ludicrously realistic expressions of Pluto the pup. On a drawing board illuminated from below, each move is drawn as a separate picture by the animators. All this is preliminary rough drawing and is done in pencil. Thousands of sketches like this are necessary for the completion of each animated cartoon film. Next, the pencil sketches are photographed a single sheet at a time. Then the film is viewed on a small projection machine called a moviola by the cutters who put the various sequences together in a preliminary story. Now in the projection room, the rough story and penciled animation is reviewed. The okayed sketches go next to the tracing department, a separate building of the Disney establishment. Here each minute line is reproduced in ink on sheets of celluloid. Great care is taken that every characteristic and detail put in by the original artist is faithfully copied. In the chemical laboratory, paint colors are blended from secret formulas in preparation for the job of finishing off the celluloid tracings. More than 1,500 different shades have been used on a single production. Meanwhile, a director goes to work with composers who create a music score to fit the film footage of each sequence. Often the director acts out the moods and antics of Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. Now a symphony orchestra rehearses the special music score. The sound department swings into action. The traced overlays are assembled, and as the component parts of the production are shaping up, artists are at work painting the stage settings of the animated cartoon story, the backgrounds done in watercolor. Over these paintings, the finished celluloids are placed to make the completed pictures. As each individual picture becomes a finished composition with background and overlays, it's ready to be photographed for one frame of motion picture film. Under the Master Technicolor camera, the same background is used for each sequence, but the traced color celluloid is used for only one shot. And so a distinctively American form of art comes to life.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn. A complete assortment of delicious candy, and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now.